Hi, my name is Steve Preziosi. I'm a criminal appeals lawyer here in New York City. My practice deals with criminal appeals in New York State and criminal appeals in federal courts throughout the United States. Today's video is going to be dealing with a topic that I get a lot of questions on, and that is the notice of appeal in New York State courts for criminal cases. So here are 5 things you should know about the notice of appeal. So here are the 5 things you should know, the 5 topics we're going to be discussing in this video. A little bit on terminology is the first thing, the language of appeals, taking of an appeal versus perfecting an appeal. What is a notice of appeal and what are its functions? 3, when to file the notice of appeal. Timing is critical. We'll be discussing that. Where to file it, of course, that's important. In what court is the notice of appeal filed, and whether or not you should file a notice of appeal yourself or hire an attorney to do so. Okay, let's get started. Terminology, taking an appeal versus perfecting an appeal. The filing of the notice of appeal statutorily is referred to as taking an appeal. So if you see written in a legal document, so someone took an appeal or is taking an appeal, that means they filed a notice of appeal. Versus perfecting an appeal. Perfecting an appeal is the actual filing of the appellate brief and the record with the appellate court. So you'll see time limitations. I get calls all the time about, we have 30 days to, file the appeal. What you have 30 days to do is file, after the sentence, is file the notice of appeal, taking an appeal, versus perfecting an appeal. There's a different timing for the perfecting, the filing of the brief, the actual appellate brief, and the record. All right, so there you go. Taking an appeal versus perfecting an appeal. Next, what is a notice of appeal? What are its functions? It has 2 principal functions. That is the notice function, of course, built right into the name. It puts the courts and the district attorney's office, the prosecuting office, on notice that you intend to appeal. And it also, very, very importantly, it has a jurisdictional function. The jurisdictional function is the appellate court. Once the notice of appeal is filed, the appellate court gains jurisdiction over your case. And the appellate court can't do anything with your case until you filed the notice of appeal. So you can't make a motion, you can't file your appellate brief until you filed the notice of appeal. So that is the jurisdictional function, in that it gives the appellate court, the appellate division, or the appellate term jurisdiction over your case. Next up is when to file the notice of appeal. You have 30 days from the time you are sentenced to file the notice of appeal, that one-page document. The notice of appeal is usually a one-page document stating that you intend to appeal. What I like to do is I make 5 copies of the notice of appeal. I serve 1 copy on the district attorney's office, the prosecutor's office. I file 2 copies with the clerk of the court. We're going to be talking about which court we're talking about, depending on where you're at, where you were convicted and sentenced. And I keep 1 copy in my file, and of course, if my client is in custody, I send 1 copy to my client. Where to file the notice of appeal? This is important in that you do not file the notice of appeal with the appellate court. It's filed in either the county clerk's office or the clerk of the court. So if you were convicted in a county court outside of New York City, you would file the notice of appeal with the clerk of the trial court where your sentence occurred. If you're in Supreme Court within one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, you're going to file it with the clerk of the court. And if you're outside of New York City and you were convicted and sentenced in Supreme Court criminal term, then you would file it with the county clerk's office. So bottom line, the headline is you do not file your notice of appeal with the appellate court. Finally, should you file the notice of appeal? Or, I guess the first question would be, can you file the notice of appeal yourself? The answer to that is yes. Should you? My opinion, exclusively an opinion, no. Hire an attorney. It gets a little complicated as to where you're filing it, what the language needs to be contained, within the notice of appeal, and who you should serve. For peace of mind's sake, consult an attorney or hire an attorney to file your notice of appeal. If you have questions about this, you can always give me a call. Every case is different, the facts of every case, keep that in mind. This is just general information I'm providing. The facts of every case are different, and you should always consult an attorney. So those are 5 things you should know about the notice of appeal. This is only for New York State criminal cases, because the notice of appeal is a little bit different in civil cases and in federal courts. So remember, you should always consult with an attorney before taking any action on your case. If you have any questions, you can give me a call at 1-800-APPEALS. I'd be happy to speak with you. Remember, the verdict is not the end. I'm Steve Preziosi, criminal appeals lawyer in New York City.